Your boy, man, Mike here. This will not be a long live, uh, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most. But I think this was something that was interesting that I wanted to talk to briefly. Didn't feel like editing and doing all that other crap. But I thought it was a great talking point. It's something that I wanted to talk about a few days ago, but kind of got a little busy. But as far as the Atlanta Falcons is concerned, if you did not see the article and had Olamide Zaccheus, he kind of came out and spoke on whether or not he felt like this is a team that was rebuilding or a team that was in transition or this is a playoff team. Zacchaeus came out and just said, "Hey man, we believe that we are a playoff team." Now I know there's a lot of people, um, a lot of fans that don't believe that. Let's just keep it 100. They don't believe that the Falcons are a playoff team. They don't believe that the Falcons are a team that are a playoff team. A lot of people have the Falcons winning like 2 games, between 2 and 5 games. Nobody has any hope in this team. So the question that I have for you guys, obviously, is: do you think this Atlanta Falcons team is a playoff team? How many wins do you think that these guys can have? Um, and leave that in the comment section below. Like I said, this won't be a fairly long live. We're gonna go live tonight. We're gonna have a tremendous amount of videos and shows coming real soon. We about to get real busy. Football season is right around the corner. You guys continue to um, support your boy um, and leave these questions. All right, doesn't have to be Falcons related. You already see that I made a video on the Atlanta Hawks, and congratulations to AJ Griffin to for becoming being drafted by the Atlanta Hawks from my quote unquote uh, alma mater. Didn't go to Duke, but I'm a huge Duke fan. So congratulations to AJ Griffin for that. But I want to kind of get in this question, this comment that you guys see on the screen right now. And thank you, Wanda, for your comment. And I want to do more of this. All right, Falcons fans are attached to Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. You guys have not seen that rant. You can check that out also. All right, you already know I have a disclaimer on there, so my rants are rants. So you kind of keep that in mind. All right, rants are rants. So the language in that motherfucker, okay, in that motherfucker, is going to be a little bit um, over the top. But like I said, this is Mad Mike Sports, Atlanta Falcons Nation. That's what we do. We give it how we see it. But again, I wanted to kind of get this comment. I think she had a pretty good comment that kind of personified a lot of Falcons fans. And like you said, bro, we got Falcons fans of all sorts, and you don't have to have the same exact. Um, you don't have to have the same opinion. You don't have to think the way. But I want to read it. All right, so this is from Wonder Meadows. Put a good product out there and people will cheer. Make dumb decisions and lose. People will not cheer. It's the team's job to make the fans and expecting the Falcons to have their fan bases like the Braves or Yankees is unreasonable. And I want to kind of get to that. I'm going to break down this this particular point. Um, I think it is justified to a certain degree when you look at the Atlanta Falcons and the decisions that they made, um, whether it's pursuing guys like Deshaun Watson. That's something that you have to take into account um, due to the recent issues concerning the sexual abuse and allegations and whatnot. So that's something that you look at, Arthur Blank and say, "Hey man, that was not a good decision to even quote unquote pursue him, whether you believe it or not, or just put your name in that hat. It's just not a good look." So that's something that you have to take into account for certain a few fan bases, and I truly understand that. All right, I want that to be clear. I truly understand that. It's something that you got. Look, this is a bad decision. Was it a bad decision? I believe so. I personally did not like it, but you kind of have to take, the good with the bad or the bad with the good, because Deshaun Watson is one of the better young quarterbacks and best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's definitely that. So again, it was one of those situations where you want to take the bad with the good and good with the bad. And at the time, like I said, I didn't necessarily like it. I still wanted Matt Ryan to be the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, but at the end of the day, I just feel as though that the team wanted to, it was just time to move on. Let's just keep it real. It was just time to move on and start over for the most part. But she absolutely has a point when it comes down to making those decisions. And um, the part of this comment, having Falcons fans expecting the Falcons to have a fan bases like the Braves or Yankees is unreasonable, and that statement in itself I disagree with, um, because people got to realize the Braves have not always won. The Braves have not always been a team that um, won games. So to say that not to expect the Atlanta Falcons to have a fan base like that, I say why not? The Braves have been a losing organization for quite some time. The Braves have not won a championship since 1995. Okay, that's 22 years? About 20 something years, 25 years or something like that. Okay, so to say that it's unreasonable for Falcons fans to get behind a team because it is your team, bit, like for me, that's just you just being stubborn. You not real. I say it all the time. If you're a true fan and you really love the team or love somebody, I'm gonna take it there. If you love somebody the way you say you love somebody, you don't really give a damn about a lot of nonsense, whether they are successful or they are, struggling. If you truly love that person, you're not gonna sit up here and say, well, um, he giving me all the reasons to not love him, or she's giving me reasons not to love him. All right, because he's making dumb mistakes, or he did this or she did that. You're gonna love that person regardless of whether they make good mistakes and bad mistakes. All right, through the good and the bad. All right, for better or worse. You already heard that before. A lot of you people are married. You hear that word all the time, for better or worse. So at the end of the day, for me, for when people say that, you got to give me a reason to stand behind you, that's not necessarily love. And like I said before, that's controversy in itself. But like I said, man, if you're a true fan and you truly love this team and you truly love that person, you love that person. You're going to stick it out until they finally get their shit together. All right? You're going to stick it out through the good and bad. So that part of the statement, I don't disagree. The Braves don't sell out. And that right there, all right? You don't watch Braves games to say they don't sell out. Braves sell out. Okay? Braves have one of the most, unique fan bases there is. The Braves sell out. You talk about coming here in Georgia, in the South, the Braves are one of the teams that are the biggest, and I'm talking about the fan bases, one of the biggest around the world. Alabama, around the South, all the way up to the North. The Braves have a very strong fan base, and they stick to these guys, and the ownership knows that. And the Braves fan will sit there, watch you struggle. All right, Freddie Freeman was here for 12 years. Most of those years under Freddie Freeman, the Braves were a bad team. They were hovering around 500. They didn't make. They was barely making the playoffs. They were barely making playoff runs, and then when they did, they were bad. So at the end of the day, the Braves sold out tickets. They sold out games even when they weren't a very good team. So as far as that's concerned, I disagree with that. They sell out because they have won so much. And that, look, again, the Braves have won 2 championships in the last 20, 30 years, okay? It's not like the Yankees. It's not like the Boston Red Sox, where they have 15 and 20. When they have 15 and 20 championships, we don't have that. These fans still stick it out with us. But at the end of the day, the fandom is in your fandom, not whether you win or not whether you successful or not. All right. So, like I said, I will root for Matt Ryan elsewhere. Everywhere he plays, and I'll root for the Falcons when they give me a reason. And like I said, do you? And there's no disrespect to Wanda. Are you? You gotta really answer this question. You gotta look deep within yourself and ask yourself: do you really? Are you really and truly a fan? Do you really love this team? If you gotta say these things, all right, when they give me a reason, okay? When they give you a reason to support them, what did that really truly sound like, all right? I want to know what that really and truly sounds like, Falcons fans, all right? Like I said, this won't be a particularly long. Just want to get these out of here. Don't feel like editing, so it's going to be, not one of those videos where it's, a little bit, over the place. But like I said, man, y'all support your boy regardless. And like I said, that statement that Matt Ryan, she said she'll root for Matt Ryan everywhere he plays, and I root for the Falcons when they give me a reason. Julio is the best Atlanta Falcons receiver ever had, but he left, and the shots he took didn't make me feel like he had a personal attachment to Atlanta, and his situation was different. As of now, I'm not happy with Atlanta's draft and the way they handled Ryan's situations. I'm also not crazy about the new coach's style of offense because I know it doesn't work in the NFL, and that in itself, that's another untruth. Okay, and I just like, we got to keep it real. We got to keep this real. We can sit up here and say a certain style of play doesn't work, but if you don't have the necessary players, it don't matter what fucking style that you play. It doesn't matter the style of football that you want to run. You can run a spread. You can run the ball 30, 40 times a game. You can pass the ball 50 times a game. If you do not have the necessary players, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? Like The Rock said, it doesn't matter if you want a successful offense. You have to have the necessary players. You have to have the coaching staff, and you have to have everyone buy into that vision. So until they buy into what that offense is, and buy into what the coaching staff is, and buy into what the front office and the vision of that team is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You gotta have everything come together. I talk about chemistry all the time. The offense has to believe in the defense. The defense has to believe in the offense. And the offense have to, they have to pick up when the defense having a rough first half. They got to come in the second half and pick up the defense. The defense have to pick up the offense when they start the game out. So everything has to work together. The punting team has to help the defense. The special teams have to, when we get off to a slow start, and we're in the red zone, we got to make sure we kick those field goals. We hit those field goals. This is why Young Wei Koo is so important to what the Falcons are doing. They signed him to an extension. Everything works together. So at the end of the day, it's not always all right. Is the offense good enough, or is this guy good enough? It comes down to everybody being able to buy into it together. You're never going to be a good team if everybody doesn't buy into the vision. So it's about getting the right players who he knows he can believe, that he understands, that he have a connection to. This is why it's important to go out for the guys that fit your scheme. Why? Because these guys are going to buy. They're going to buy into your scheme a lot better than someone that doesn't buy into the scheme. A la Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is a terrific wide receiver. I think he is a Pro Bowl. I think he could be a Hall of Famer if he puts his mind to it. But he never bought into Arthur Smith's scheme. That doesn't mean that Calvin Ridley sucks. It just does. It means that he never bought into a scheme. Buy into the scheme, having your mental together when it comes down to these players and these teams. You have to buy into the scheme. So it don't matter how great you think an athlete is. If he doesn't fit into the scheme, if he doesn't buy into it, nothing else matters. And it's the same thing for the defensive side of the ball. So, like I said, as far as the Ryan situation, they handled it poorly. Okay, let me repeat that. They handled the situation poorly, whether it was designed, whether it not, it happened. It's time to get over it. All right, no more harboring on the same situations. Let's get over it. At the end of the day, that situation is not going to change itself, and we gotta sit to ourselves. Matt Ryan has been with this organization for 14 years. It was time to move on. Let's keep it 100. It was time to move on. It was time for change. It did not work. Julio was getting old. Matt Ryan is getting up in age. Calvin Ridley didn't know what we was going to get into it. All right? The defense never came to pass. We never built the defense the proper way. We never had the GM to put together a solid plan and stick with it. So at the end of the day, when all those things did not work, we have to move on. So let's just keep that 100, all right? And like I said before, that Matt Ryan situation could have been handled a lot better, or it's just something that both sides that had to come to an agreement. Like, look, this is not going to work out. I want to move on. You want me to move on. Let's just come to it. So at the end of the day, I still love Matt Ryan. I still love this organization. Sometimes you got to make those tough decisions and move on. But pocket passing quarterbacks will always dominate the NFL. As much as I love Vic, his style of play was it was Ryan that brought Atlanta out of the cellar for the NFL teams to become a true contender. And as far as the Matt Ryan bringing his team out of the cellar, that is partially true. I'll say 70%, 60% of, and I'm gonna take that back. 50% was Matt Ryan's talent, being able to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. 50% of it was Matt Ryan's talent, but the other 50%, let's keep it real, building a team around him. If it wasn't for a guy like Richmond K, the same people that everybody think he's absolute trash, guess what? He's responsible for making a trade for Jonathan Abraham. We don't have Jonathan Abraham in his beginning of Matt Ryan. Are we truly a team that can go from not having a 5-year stretch where we're over, winning record? That's something that's you can't. That's not a reasonable if he doesn't bring in a Jonathan Abraham, bring in a Michael Turner, sign him as a free agent. You got guys like you drafted Jonathan Babineau. These are the moves that were instrumental, vital for this organization and for this team to get off to a fast start. So yes, 50% of it had a lot to do. And I got to throw in not only that, you got to look at the drafting of Roddy White. That was because of Richmond K. He was the GM during that time. So he made a lot of big-time moves to help bring Michael Vick along, not only Michael Vick along, but Matt Ryan along. You know what I'm saying? The drafting of at the time, a young DeAndre Hall, who was supposed to be one of the better corners in the league. On top of that, like I said, they made a lot of good moves on the defense side of the ball, special teams. They had a good coaching staff. So at the end of the day, man, it was 50-50. Matt Ryan's talent and the organization knowing how to build a team. So it goes hand in hand. And like I said, as far as Michael Vick's style of play, it works. It works. Mobile quarterbacks work. But it has to be
it has to be balanced. If you're going to have a mobile quarterback, you have to have a good offensive line. If you're going to have a mobile quarterback, you have to have a good um, you have to have a good running you have to have a good running back core. You have to have a good wide receiver and tight end core. Like you have to have that in order for everything to work. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what style of quarterback, you have to have that balance. At the end of the day, you have to have balance on both sides of the ball. So like I said before, we can talk about whether pocket quarterbacks, I've seen instances where pocket quarterbacks don't work. Okay? I've seen where pocket quarterbacks make things a lot worse for certain styles of offense and certain styles of players. Some players like to play with mobile quarterbacks. Other guys like Hollywood Brown, he doesn't like to play with mobile quarterbacks. Why? Because a lot of mobile quarterbacks don't like to see, they don't like to and these guys are going to be all over the place, and then you got to run, ad lib, and kind of freestyle as a wide receiver when you got a guy running all the time. So it's not always a good thing to have mobile quarterbacks for wide receivers. So it works hand in hand. But like I said before, you had a great comment. Fields with knowledge. And these are the types of comments that I encourage on this channel. So you guys continue to support your boy here at Mad Mike Sports. And ending, the Matt Ryan era in Atlanta is over. So it's up to the organization to try and put together a team that can do better as far as the personnel moves. I'm not seeing anytime soon. I don't see Ritter being the answer either. Back to the fans' feelings. Right now, it's like the old saying, you reap what you sow. The Falcons made their own bed. And I just think that's a lot of anger and resentment. I totally disagree with that fact that they reap what they sow. At the end of the day, man, you can't continue to point the finger at one particular instance when we talk about the end goal and failure. Wolf told me earlier today, and I totally did not understand. I totally didn't get this, but the Arizona Cardinals have not won a thing in 76 years. Okay? 76 years the Arizona Cardinals have done nothing. For the most part, their fans have been begging for an opportunity to win. For years, these organizations have never won a single thing. I just want to pause and let you guys think about that for a second. A lot of teams have yet to win a thing. And as a Falcon fan, we're upset because we got to 2 Super Bowls before and we lost. We lost. Things don't always work out. It doesn't mean that the organization is incapable of building a champion. It's just sometimes you need a little bit of luck. Sometimes, to be real, let's keep it real. Sometimes you gotta cheat. Sometimes you gotta spy on a motherfucker. Sometimes you gotta break the rules in order to win. I don't recommend it. I would rather win the right way. But sometimes you gotta break the fucking rules. Some teams want to stand by, some teams want to play by the rules. You know what I'm saying? A la the Atlanta Falcons and other organizations, they want to play by the rules. But other organizations like the Patriots, the Saints, they like to break the rules. They like to spy on people. They like to put bounties all on people. They like to, let's keep this 100. Let's keep this 100. They want to essentially, give a bunch of those players in New Orleans drugs and painkillers and all that type of stuff. We see it all the time. We see players retiring all of a sudden. And we wonder why these players are young. You 27 years old, what the hell you mean you retiring? These are the things we talk about. So it's a lot of organizations out here, all they do is cheat and break rules and, give these guys drugs and, we never hear about this stuff, and then we have these interviews with these players, and they come out, hey man, they gave me this. We see Calvin Johnson retiring all of a sudden. He's like, look, I got high before every game. This is Calvin Johnson talking about, and he's one of the greatest receivers of all time. And he talked about him being high, having to get high before he played a game because he didn't want to goddamn, shoot these painkillers and stuff. We just had Jalen Ferguson die because of perceived overdose. This is the stuff we talking about. So at the end of the day, I know a lot of people like to, blame the organization for this and that, but hey man, it takes a lot of luck, and it takes everything to work, to have a plan. Falcons have a plan, they stick to the plan. You got to draft well, and you got to understand that like it's a process at the end of the day. Like I said before, I understand everybody's frustration. It didn't work. 14 years, we did not win the championship. We didn't win the Super Bowl. We got to the Super Bowl, and like I said, it just wasn't our time. It just wasn't our time. But we continue to do things the right way. If we continue to work hard and we get players in here who gonna buy into the scheme and buy into the system and believe in what Arthur is doing, believe in what Terry is doing, believe in what Rich McKay, Arthur Blank is doing, we're gonna get there. But if the fan base doesn't get behind it, what the organization wants to do, then it's gonna make it even more difficult for the players to succeed. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people. What you mean? They football players. You should just, be motivated on themselves. Well, not necessarily. I know some players they gotta play in the organization where the fans are amazing. They need that support. They feed off their energy. We see it in Seattle. Seattle has one of the biggest and loudest fan bases there is. When you play in Seattle, you got to hear that crowd. You remember when the old Chicago Bulls, I know a lot of people are basketball fans with Chicago Bulls. You knew that you were going to have to listen to that crowd. When you play in Yankee Stadium, that's going to be a hostile environment because the fans are absolutely retarded down there. All right? They absolutely crazy with it. They get stupid in there. When you go to the Raiders game, look, it's a possibility you're going to get into a fight with one of those guys. So, like I said, at the end of the day, it's not going to be a particularly long Atlanta Falcons news update, but this is what you're going to get used to. You're going to have some rants. You're going to have me doing a lot more loud. They're going to have a lot more, live videos like this. I think you guys know how I do things. I told you guys we're going to work on being the image and all that type of stuff. We're going to have all that in time. But I think you guys appreciate that we spit that knowledge and we spit it differently. I don't care about being having the biggest visuals and the best visuals. Oh man, look, you come here to hear that game. You come here to know more about the game. You come here to listen to other fans and what other fans speak on. You come here to listen to people like Chuck Smith, Terrence Mathis, Chris Draft, Uwe Moog Haley, Will McFadden, Torrey McElhenney, Scott Bair, Chris Realm. This is what you come here to listen to. The fastest stats and the truth. So at the end of the day, you guys continue to support your boy here at Mad Mike Sports. We got a treat for you tonight. All right? We got a treat for you tonight, Friday Night Madness. Myself and K-Style going to take a step back, but I promise you, we're still going to be on Friday. You're still going to hear our voice. But I think you guys going to like to change to Friday Night Madness. I have a good feeling. All right? I'm going to drop a little hint right here. I'll just say that. He already know. Stand up. Brooklyn, stand up. That's all I got to say about that. A-Town down, OG, I'll say that. Hint, hint. Your boy, man, Mike is out. Peace.